So, 9 days ago, I started a challenge called the 100 Days of Code Challenge. And what this is it's where you code for 1 hour every single day for 100 days, and you post your progress somewhere, whether that be Twitter, the Free Code Camp, Discord, LinkedIn, wherever. Now, lately, I've been trying to do a number of things. One, I've been trying to level up my own skills, my own technical skills for work, for my day job as a web developer. I want to get better at what I do. The other thing I've been really wanting to do is start producing a lot more content for platforms like YouTube and getting courses onto Udemy or Skillshare. And as a lot of you probably can imagine, there's a lot of stuff you have to know when it comes to producing videos. Everything from setting up your microphone and processing audio, knowing how to use a video editor and composing shots. And basically, I saw this 100 Days of Code challenge as like a way to kind of combine all the things that I want to learn into one. And another big goal of mine actually is to get over my fear of just getting in front of the camera and doing things in front of people, teaching people what I know, even if I feel like maybe some people might know better than me. Coding live in public on Twitch, all these things. So 100 Days of Code for me has been about improving my technical skills, my general competencies is just being a web developer, improving my skills as a content creator by recording my updates and editing them. And a personal challenge that I decided was that these updates would be on Twitter. Just gonna move my microphone here a little bit. Now, Twitter only allows 2 minutes and 20 seconds max for a video upload. So this actually is a little bit of a challenge for me because, one, I have to take everything that I learned or did or wanted to think about in that 1 hour, sometimes more, I sometimes code longer than an hour, and squash all of that into 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So I'm learning how to take my thoughts, my ideas, my insights, and just really condense them into what's essential, as well as be able to present that in front of a camera in a way that's clear and concise. It's also forcing me to really get inside of my video editor, which is Adobe Premiere. And it's not like anything that I'm doing in these videos are super fancy or anything. But for me, it's really just about every single day using Adobe Premiere. Even if I'm just doing simple cuts and translations and scales, I really believe that just using the tool every single day over the next 100 days is really going to help up my game when it comes to editing videos. And I've already noticed that I've actually gotten a lot faster with it. And of course, the faster I get at this, the faster I am at editing things like my YouTube videos and videos for courses that I do, which hopefully just helps me produce a lot more content for you guys. And then the third thing that this 100 Days of Code challenge is doing for me is it's getting me out in front of people, sharing the things that I'm learning, sharing the things that I'm getting stuck on. And I also decided to stream my 100 Days of Code challenge on Twitch. So for every single day for the last 9 days, I've been, with the exception of Sunday, I have been on Twitch working through different challenges in front of people. And this has been a very good experience for me in general. Coding on Twitch is way more fun than I thought. I had tried it about 8 months ago. I got into streaming for a bit, and I've been doing it more or less every week, maybe every other week at work. We have a vehicle Twitch account where we do some mob programming. But that one is, because it's with a group of people, it's less intimidating. This is the first time that I've really thrown myself into streaming on my own. And I gotta say, the biggest challenge, I think, is learning to solve problems and write code live in front of people who you don't know. It's really hard not to get in your head a little bit. So what I've noticed is multiple times on stream, I've hit a problem and I was not able to solve the problem while on stream. And a lot of the times I was able to more or less figure out the problem almost immediately after I stopped the stream. So I would kind of give up for the night. Not really give up, but I schedule my streams, so I try to end at the time that I say I'm going to end. So I would kind of close off the problem and call it a night. I would shut down the stream, and then a thought would occur to me, and I'd be like, oh yeah. And I would like basically solve the problem. Not every time. There's been 2 times that I actually had to reach out in the free code camp forum for help, and I was able to get unblocked that way. But yeah, coding live is pretty tough. So it's something that I'm working on getting a lot better at with this 100 Days of Code challenge. And the other insight that I have with all of this is just that being public about what you're building on and sharing your experiences and getting engagement from other people and knowing that others out there are watching and waiting for your updates. It's really motivating when it's the end of the night and you're tired and honestly you'd rather be doing something else. It's like, because I've committed to this thing in public, when I get that feeling where I just basically want to shut it down for the night, I'm able to motivate myself to just come down here into the office and I just hop on Twitch for an hour. And at the end, I try to do this update where I record a 2-minute, 20-second video or less and edit it. And I try to get all that done in about 15 minutes. And I kind of have this really nice minimum benchmark to meet every single day, which is basically stream for an hour while I learn something, record what I did, and post it to Twitter. And the cool thing is, by the time I'm done that, a lot of times I have a lot more energy after than I did going into it, surprisingly enough. And so then I go on and I record a YouTube video or two, or I edit a YouTube video that isn't finished yet, or I get something done on this course that I've been working on for Udemy. So anyway, I just wanted to say that this challenge so far, 9 days in, has been a very enlightening experience for me. It's been really good overall. I'm excited to get to the other side of this thing, and just to see how much my skills and all the things that I've been practicing while doing this really improve. Because like I said, especially for the video editing side of it, I already feel so much more comfortable in Adobe Premiere. It's something that every time I do a YouTube video, I'm kind of clumsy in Premiere, and now that I have to put these videos out every single day, I'm finding I'm actually Googling for small little tips to make things a little faster in my workflow. But anyway, I wanted this video to be an opportunity to share some of the progress that I've had in the last 9 days. Like I said, Twitter only allows 2 minutes and 20 seconds for a video, so it's really hard to get everything in. And I'm not 100% sure if those really short videos are great content for YouTube or not. I know there's this new concept of shorts, but I don't think they quite fit in the short category either. So I thought maybe every 7 to 10 days or so, I would just post one of these videos to reflect on how things have been going, and then followed up with basically just a reel of all the updates that I posted to Twitter. So I don't think I really have anything else to reflect on. Here's video number 1, or day number 1. Hello everyone, this is my 100 Days of Code challenge, day 1. And before I get started, I just wanted to say that I've been coding professionally for a little over 6 years now, but I still consider myself a beginner. There's so much I still have to learn. There's a lot of things that I have learned probably at some point and have to relearn. Learning just never stops. So I think this 100 Days of Code is an interesting way to just hold myself accountable and make sure I'm pushing myself to learn every single day. That said, what I worked on today was the basic Node and Express course on Free Code Camp. And I was actually doing this 2 days ago on Twitch, and I got hung up on something where I needed to serve some static assets using some middleware. My code looked like this, and it was not working. My app looked like that. Instead of loading the CSS, it was just canceling the request because it's just a 404. Today I got back to work on that and I still could not figure it out. I tried a lot of things. I ended up going to the Free Code Camp forum and posted this lengthy question where I listed everything that I had tried and had more or less just given up. And somebody referred me to the docs, which I thought I had read over and over again. And referred to this section of the documentation, which was what I actually needed. So in app.use, when you're adding middleware, it takes a optional path. And in this case, I needed it because my style sheet was in a public directory. Having public just here wasn't enough.
because otherwise the paths would have just been root slash, or let me go up a little higher here. It would have been like root slash and then wherever the file is rather than public. This makes sure that public is actually at the root. And if I go back over here and refresh, you can see that the styles are loading. So my takeaway here is, well, read the documentation a little slower, even if you think you have. And the other takeaway is to try and not let the pressure of coding live in front of people on Twitch get in my head. I think I was just trying to move so fast that I wasn't actually slowing down reading the documentation properly. This is 100 Days of Code Day 2. Today I took a little bit of a break from the Express and MongoDB course that I've been doing on Free Code Camp, but I will be picking that up later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Twitch. But I just wanted to make my report now. So I was working on setting up a GitHub action to run Cypress tests against React app, and I have that working. I'm just going to show you in here. So this is Cypress dashboard set up, and this is the latest run that's successfully connected. If you look at my spec files, everything's just kind of running on one machine. So if I add more machines, I can run these tests in parallel, and they can run a lot faster. So that's what I've been working on. And the first thing that I tried to do was just follow along with the Cypress tutorial. And that landed me kind of roughly with this YAML file here. And basically what's happening is I have this step, or rather this job that just installs Cypress and installs everything in my application, and it runs this build. And then there's this GitHub action for backing up the build folder. And the reason that you have to do that is because the job that runs next, that actually runs Cypress, which you want to run on, say, 2 containers in my case, or maybe many more, it needs a way to pull in all the dependencies that was done in your install step. So the first thing that I realized was I was actually kind of testing my application wrong, because I was just serving with like npm start, using the base create React app script, which actually starts like a dev server and doesn't serve from your build file at all. So then it occurred to me that I actually need like some sort of a proxy setup to be able to serve my front end assets from the build directory in order to run Cypress against them. And I found on the Cypress docs, they actually point to this real world application. And I noticed that in here, Twitter actually only supports 2 minutes and 20 seconds for a video upload. So my update actually stops right there, but I will post the rest on YouTube later. So I look forward to sharing my update tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Yeah, no, I did not post the rest of that update on YouTube later. No, I forgot. Yeah. Anyway. This is my 100 Days of Code Day 3 update. So today I was working on the Free Code Camp curriculum. I was working on the backend development and APIs, MongoDB and Mongoose course. The section that I had to do is here, where you create and save a record of a model, which was actually a pretty easy thing for me to get going, to actually get data saved into my Atlas database over here. But the thing that I got stuck on for a long time was like just getting this test to pass. So the thing with Free Code Camp is the way that you work through each of these sections, with the backend courses anyway, is you deploy your app somewhere and you grab the URL, you drop the link here, and you run the tests. Now it's passing, but when it fails, it doesn't really tell you a whole lot. I had to kind of keep deploying to Heroku over and over again to debug the issue, or to try to guess at what it wanted me to do. But something that I learned today about these backend courses is if you go into your app, there's actually this server.js file that has a bunch of endpoints, and this is basically how Free Code Camp is running through the test. This just calls these endpoints and executes a function. So the task was to fill in this create and save person, and then the endpoint is pulling that in, and then it's calling it down here. You can see with a callback. So the first thing I wasn't understanding was that I was actually supposed to invoke that callback, that done function, with the error in data that's coming back from Mongoose. So I got that sorted out pretty quick once I figured out how to run this test and get debug information, because I saw, oh, missing done argument. So I figured out pretty quick from there. And then the next challenge was once I started trying to test this again, it still wasn't working.
So the handy thing I was able to do was run this command with Heroku, just Heroku logs and the name of the application. And by running that, I was able to figure out that it was actually failing to connect to Mongoose because of an IP issue, which made sense because when I set up my Atlas database, I only set the IP to my personal IP, not to my Heroku IP. I just totally forgot about it. So once I saw that error, I was able to fix that. And then now the test passes and I'm ready to go on to the next section. So tomorrow I will be streaming on Twitch again and I will keep working through this backend course. All right, thanks, bye. This is my 100 Days of Code challenge day number 4. Today I was working through the free code camp stuff again on Twitch, and I was doing the Mongoose course, and it was going pretty well. I got a little bit of a snag at the end of the stream there, and I'm just going to show you guys real quick. Let's jump into the code editor. So I learned how to do like a create many on array of data. That was pretty easy, and then for me, I know that easy is relative. And then did the find by attribute, find one, find by ID. All of this was going really smooth, and it was just implementing this method here, which I got hung up on for a while. So find, edit, then save. I was basically trying to find a person by the ID that free code camp passes in through their test suite, and then update their favorite foods to push on the food that they expect to be there, and save that model out. And I was getting this error here. You see unhandled promise rejection, no matching document found for ID. I just saw that and I kind of went down a bit of a rabbit hole trying to diagnose, like, why can't I find this user? But then after reading it a little bit more carefully, I realized actually it was happening here, my app.js 51 on the call to the save method. And then it kind of occurred to me, this is asynchronous. So this done method, this done callback that free code camp gives me was getting called too early. And then when they did their assertion to try to find to see if the user got updated or not, that's what was probably causing the failures. So I just did this, pass a done callback here, and that got the test to pass. And now I can carry on with my day. All right, bye. This is 100 Days of Code day number 5. Today I was working on the Mongoose course on the free code camp backend track. I actually finished it and I got started on the microservice API project, but I'll be continuing on with that tomorrow. Today I got stuck on one thing. So in the challenge to remove many people, just for people who don't know, real quick, I'm going to go over into free code camp, kind of show you how this works. So basically you're working through these challenges and you have to host your app somewhere, and then you just paste your link here and you say I've completed the steps, and it runs through all these tests. And the way that it does that is it ships with the server.js file that's configured a bunch of endpoints, and basically it pulls in the functions that you implement. So I have this remove function. Whenever free code camp hits this endpoint, eventually down here after some setup, it's going to call it. And then I have to call this callback function myself from inside and pass error and data. And what this one is doing, basically, you don't need to worry too much about what's up here, but it's trying to make sure that I deleted the right number of people. So it's doing a count on the people that still exist in the database. And then if it's Mongoose 4, it's doing this JSON parse. Otherwise, it's assuming that I'm on an older version than 4, and it's returning this object. So this was failing for me because I'm on a newer version of Mongoose 4, because the Mongo Atlas, the service that I'm hosting my database on, is using a newer version of Mongo than the course suggests, which isn't compatible with Mongoose 4. So a little workaround this problem because the shapes of the data is not exactly compatible. You can see what I ended up returning was just an object with n, and that's the response after calling remove, which I just called doodad, deleted count. So some older version of Mongoose must have called it n, and then also this OK key was missing, so I just added that and gave it 200. That's also what allowed it to trick it into thinking that it's not Mongoose 4 here, so it just skips this whole step. So I don't get this JSON parse error, which was really throwing me off. And then it returns the correct object. It gets n off the object that I have, and then the OK is 200. So that seemed to fix it. So that's my update for today, and I will have another one for tomorrow. All right, thanks, bye. This is 100 Days of Code day number 6. So today I don't have any code to show off to you guys because I was remoting into somebody else's desktop. I was a guest on Jason Grew's stream over on Twitch, and we're working through some Shopify stuff. So Jason walked me through some of the things that he's been learning about Shopify lately, and we tinkered around with a theme, and it looked pretty cool to me. But the main thing that we did was he got an app installed into his dev store and played around with a component library from Shopify called Polaris, which is basically Shopify's way to help app developers make their applications look consistent. And we got something going with kind of like a Hello World version of a Shopify app. We started following along a tutorial and pulled in products from the store into the Shopify app. So you could see like a list come up on the screen. You could kind of click on them and select them. So I thought that was really cool. And I thought that the experience of working with Shopify was really interesting. Just the way that you can kind of run stuff locally, but everything's actually still talking to Shopify. Like you don't have a local database. And even though you're sort of like remote connecting into your shop while you build apps for it, you still get like hot module reloading, which I thought was really interesting. So yeah, I learned about Shopify today. Tomorrow I'll probably be getting back into the free code camp stuff and continue on with the backend projects. Thanks for listening to my update, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, bye.
This is 100 Days of Code, day number 7. So today was continuing to work on the free code camp backend certificate, doing this timestamp microservice, and I cannot, for the life of me, get these tests to pass. So for those of you who don't know, the way that free code camp kind of works is you deploy your app somewhere and you give it the solution link. You say that you completed the challenge, and then it's kind of making a bunch of API calls to your app and making these assertions. And some of them you don't know what the input is, so that you can't hard code your responses, but they do give you, in this case, an example input with what the expected output is. And here's my app running with the input that they gave me, and here's my output. And this is the example project that they have running live with the exact same input and the exact same output. See that? Absolutely no difference in these responses. And no matter what I try, I just can't get these tests to pass. So tomorrow I think I'm probably going to just move on to a different project, and maybe reach out in the free code camp forums or the Discord and just see maybe there's a bug with this one. And yeah, so that was my day. All right, thanks, bye. This is 100 Days of Code, day number 8. So today I picked up where I left off yesterday on this timestamp microservice project on free code camp, and I got all the tests passing. So if you saw my log from yesterday, I was really struggling with this and I thought I was doing everything right. And technically I was. The logic was right, but there was one small problem. If you actually check out the network tab here, I'm getting course errors. So basically free code camp wasn't successfully getting the data back from my backend API. Somebody in the free code camp forums actually suggested this. And the funny thing is somebody on stream yesterday suggested this too. And I went to the logs in Heroku and I was like, no, it's all returning 200s. Didn't even occur to me that like the course issues would be on the browser side. Not sure why, but I was just drawing blanks yesterday and I came to an answer in the forums. Somebody suggested or called out that I had something wrong here. And you can see I'm setting up my app. I'm setting up my route. This is kind of the important part, and I was exporting my app, and over in server.js, this is the stuff that free code camp sets up in the boilerplate. I replaced where they were instantiating a new app by calling Express and replaced it with an import of my app, which had my route set up, and thought that by doing that, because they call app.use here and set up the course middleware, that everything would just be fine. I think the reason that it's not fine is because if I were to actually set all of this up in one file, say I just registered my route here in server.js, I would actually register it after the middleware has been registered. So I think the order of registering things actually matters. So the proper way to do this, if I undo a couple times here, if I use this router module from Express, which is which you get like this, and I export router, then on this side, let me undo. I can go back to allowing app to just be created like this. I import my router, and then it's just app.use where I kind of want that API to live, and then I pass in my router, and it gets registered after the course settings get registered, which fixes the course issues, which got all my tests to pass. All right, thanks, bye. This is 100 Days of Code Day 9. Now, I have a lot of words to explain, very little in 2 minutes and 20 seconds, so I'm gonna kind of move really fast. Today I was working on the back end for the free code camp. I did a lot today, but basically the highlight is this URL shortener microservices working on. So really quick, I'm just gonna explain to you how it works. Basically take a URL, hit this endpoint, and it's gonna return this JSON response, original URL, and an ID, and then you can take that ID and you can go over here, go to API short URL, pass the ID, and then you'll get redirected to whatever that original URL is. So the interesting thing that I came across is basically that I'm kind of test driving this, and this also felt like a project that could be more complicated than it needed to be. So the first thought that I had was that these URLs need to be persisted somewhere so that they live forever. If you use a shortcode, you're supposed to be able to visit it later and get redirected properly. So I was thinking like maybe I need a database, or maybe I can just use something like Redis. But then I realized no, actually free code camp is just hitting these endpoints, and these are simple tests. The data can actually just live in memory, and I don't care if it gets nuked every time that I deploy. It's really not a big deal. It's like the whole make it work first mentality. So I was like, okay, I can just have these live in memory. While I was testing, I got to a point where I wanted a way to be able to control that there were already some existing URLs in the system. So then I guess my thought was like, maybe I could use like some sort of service class that I can then mock later. But then it occurred to me that this could just literally be an array. And not only could it just be an array, it could just be an array that I pass as an argument here to this function. And I could just live with this for argument method, which is usually kind of a code smell, but I think I can live with it given how simple this project is. So if you look at the definition for this function, basically I'm taking in my request, response objects, whatever the URL is, and then I take an array of URLs and I just default to this existing URLs array that's assigned up here. So in production, what's being used is this, but because I take it as an argument, now my tests, I can just seed existing URLs and pass it here. So all this test is asserting is basically if one already exists and I push on a new URL, that the ID that comes back has actually been incremented. So I enjoyed this project because this is the first project that I came across in the back end or on Free Code Camp that is complicated enough that there's a lot of different ways that you could solve this problem. And I feel like I'm just going down this path that feels very pragmatic, and I'm really happy with it. Anyway, that's my update today. Thanks for watching. Bye.